Nomad is a good operator in Rainbow Six Siege, but most of you are playing her wrong. And in this video, I'm going to show you why. To show you what I mean, let's go on to Cafe. Now on Cafe, there are a lot of flanks to be watched. Let's say for instance, I'm attacking the downstairs bomb site and I'm above the bomb site. I have to have an air jab on my brown stairs, on my red stairs, and all the way on my white stairs. There's a lot of flanks to be watched. So naturally, you might want to bring somebody like Nomad on a map like Cafe. But I think using Nomad for flank watch is a terrible idea. Let's take, for instance, this staircase. When you see this staircase and you want to put an air jab here, naturally, you'd probably want to put it somewhere like this to watch the staircase. And that would make sense. Here's the issue, though. Any good defender, all they have to do is crouch and slow walk while looking up, and they can see that air jab just like that and shoot it before the air jab sees them. The way the air jabs work is the entire air jab has to see you before it goes off, meaning that if you can just shoot the edge of it before it goes off, you can flank easily. Now, to your credit, most people don't know this. Only really high-level people know this, which is why Nomad is not used that much in the higher ranks compared to somebody like Gridlock. So if you shouldn't be putting Nomad air jabs for flanks at the top of staircases, where should you be putting them? Well, you might think you might be able to put it in like a corner of the staircase right here, right? The issue is that if you want to put it above a staircase, no matter what you do, not only can they crouch under it, but they can just go below the staircase and shoot it from here. So air jabs are completely useless at the top of staircases, as well as the bottom of staircases. Some people will put it on the floor like right here, or around the corner just like that. The issue with that is if anybody has a good headset, they're going to know it's there, and then slow walk to it and shoot it before it goes off, just like the other example. Because I can just sit here and shoot it, and no one will be none the wiser, right? Especially if it's a roamer, they're probably going to have a suppressed weapon. You won't even hear that shot go off, and you're just going to get flanked anyways. Which is why I keep telling my viewers, a lot of people get mad at me when I say Nomad is the worst flank watch operator in the game, or at least one of the worst. You can't use Nomad for flanks. You absolutely can't. Every single air jab that you can place on any staircase can and will get shot in a higher elo. However, that's if you put it on a staircase. You see, Nomad for flank watch is viable, but only if you put it on doors. If I were to put an air jab on a door just like this, there's no possible way that I can flank this double door and slow walk and shoot this air jab without the air jab killing me. And if I do, I'm exposed to somebody on this window, and I'm right next to all of the attackers that are over here. So you can situationally use Nomad air jabs for flanks, as long as you're next to the air jab and you're baiting it and listening for the gunshot. But at that point, just have a flank drone and don't waste an entire operator on one single air jab. Also, if somebody's flanking you, chances are they're a roamer. If you're playing against a roamer, chances are that roamer has impact grenades. So it doesn't even matter if you're on one of those really situational doorways like this where you can't shoot the air jab. If the person has impact grenades, he throws an impact right here, and the air jab's gone anyways. So I keep telling people this, nobody believes me. I keep telling people, Nomad is useless for flanks. You cannot use it for flanks. But there is one thing you can use Nomad for, and that's the point of this video. I do not think Nomad is a good flank watch operator. That's going to piss a lot of people off, but I don't think she's good for flank watch. I do think she has one very good use though, and that is runouts. As you can see, that air jab covers both of the windows, and unlike if you use her for flanks, there's no possible way that you can shoot the air jab before it sees you unless you hop out and you somehow pre-fire it, which is probably not going to happen. You could make the same case that this air jab could get impact grenaded, which is true. I do recommend that you put air jabs like very, very high on a window to counteract that instead of putting it on the side of a window, like that one, or on the bottom of a window. If you put the air jab at the top of the window like this, it'll still, as you can see, get the entire window. But it can't be destroyed by impact grenades no matter where they throw it. So something to think about there. And while we're on the topic of using her for runouts, I do want to mention one very important thing. There is this wild misconception that if you're trying to deny a window that's really, really high up that somebody's going to jump down from, that if you put an air jab on the window like this, that is going to air jab them. That's not going to air jab them. Here's how air jabs work. The air jab is only going to go off once somebody lands. It's not going to go off if somebody's mid-air, meaning that air jab will not jab them when they're hopping out of the window. It's only going to activate when they land on the ground. So if you ever try to air jab a high window, make sure just put it below the window right there. That way it gets them when they land and not when they try to hop out of the window, because it's not going to work if you try to do that. Another thing I think is very important if you're playing Nomad is using her kind of like you would use a Capitao bolt to flush out players from certain positions. For context, I did get this from Pro League, so I know this does work. But there's a very common strategy where you'll have an Azami playing inside of rafters, just sitting rafters watching the doorway. And a very common counter strategy to that is playing Capitao, shooting fire bolts into rafters and flushing her out and shooting her. But if you play Nomad, it's actually a lot easier to do this. One, people play Wamai a lot, and if you're playing solo queue ranked, it's very hard for you to burn the Wamai discs and Capitao this guy, and rely on your teammates to be on the door and the reach to help you with rafters. It's just not going to happen. But what you can do instead is play Nomad. Then you have flash grenades you can use to burn any Wamais or ADSs in rafters. And once those are burnt, not only is it burnt, but the player is probably blinded, and then you can shoot air jabs into rafters like this. And because of their quick activation time, even if they shoot one, they're bound to get caught by the other. That's going to air jab them, then you can sprint in and go for a kill. This is actually a good strategy you can use Nomad for, and that's what I want to talk about, is using Nomads not even for watching runouts or watching flanks, but actually shooting them at players. Not only can you shoot it at players in power positions like this, but if they have an operator like Clash, Nomad is a great Clash counter. I see a lot of people trying to run Kali, trying to run Zofia, trying to run explosives, hell, even trying to sledgehammer her. Don't do that, by the way. Nomad counters her completely. You shoot one air jab. Let's say the Clash is in the middle of the room right here, on that exact bullet hole, right? If I shoot an air jab at her feet, look at how quickly the activation time is. Boom, it's activated. Clash does not have enough time to leave the area of effect because she's so slow, to where this is a guaranteed air jab on her if she's not already moving by the time you've shot it. So this is a great Clash counter, it's a great power position counter, and it's good for countering runouts. But please, for the love of the siege gods up above, do not use her for flank watch. Here's what you should do for flank watch instead. Let's say the bomb is gym bedroom, and I plan on pushing from CC and cash instead. What I can do in the prep phase is get a drone into lounge, and this lounge drone will watch anybody trying to go through rafters and through my red stairs. Now I can push here completely safely, and every time I take a room, I can periodically check it, make sure no one's there, get off. Okay, I took this room, let me go ahead and check it. Okay, no one's there. And then you can just keep going and periodically checking your flank drone. I know it sucks to have to do this, but it's better than relying on an air jab that's going to get shot anyways. The second thing you can do is bring Gridlock instead. Unlike Nomad, it takes more than one bullet to destroy Gridlock's gadget. When you deploy a Gridlock gadget, let's say like right here, it spirals out, and depending on where you place it, there can be a lot of tracks placed with one single track canister. Especially if you mess up with one and throw a second one down too, look at how many things they have to shoot. If I'm an offender and I want to flank here, I think the easiest way I could do it is by like shooting this one, tanking these two and walking up, and then I still have to shoot at least 4 more no matter where I go, right? And that's 4 bullets they're having to use, plus 4 loud noises of Gridlock tracks being exploded, which is way more of a sound notification that someone's flanking than an air jab getting shot by a suppressed weapon that you're not going to hear anyways. So Gridlock arguably is better for flanks because they have to use more utility, waste more time, and make more noise trying to flank you. But undeniably, there is one thing that Nomad can do to watch flanks better than any other operator, and it is arguably the most underrated way you can play Nomad that most people don't know about. And that is using her air jabs through punch holes. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but punch holes don't actually make it to where sound can travel through. Contrary to popular belief, if I'm trying to bandit or K-trick this wall and I put 2 punch holes in the wall, that doesn't actually allow more sound to pass through. Punch holes don't allow more sound to pass through. You actually have to shoot the wall like this with a shotgun for sound to actually pass through more. It's a common misconception that even I subscribed to for years. If you look back in my channel, you can see me telling you to put punch holes in walls when you try to trick. I used to believe this, but I actually got proven wrong a few months ago and have since then been telling people to stop doing this. You have to shoot through the wall, you can't do a punch hole through the wall. Now, the reason that this is important is because if a punch hole allows effects to go through a wall, like an air jab per se, but it doesn't let sound go through a wall, that means that if you put a punch hole in a wall, just like this, and you put an air jab through the punch hole, just like that, you cannot hear the air jab on the other side, but the air jab will still air jab you. Let me turn my volume up to 100 so you just, like, you can actually see what I'm talking about. My volume's at 100 right now, right? You can't hear the air jab. It's completely silent. And I didn't shoot it either. If I go into master, you can clearly still hear it. It's still making noise, right? But when I go over here, it makes 0 noise. And it's not because, you know, it's super far away, because if I were to shoot this open, now you can hear it, right? So obviously the sound was only getting let through when I opened this, but not when I did a punch hole, which means you can have silent air jabs. They won't know the air jab's there, and the air jab still works. So I think if you're using Nomad like this for flank watch, she's the best flank watch operator in the game. Hands down, she's very, very good. But you can't be using air jabs like this. That air jab, again, is just going to get shot by somebody on a flank if they slow walk, and it won't go off. I've literally flanked that exact air jab and shot it. I know it doesn't work. However, I will say, if you put an air jab higher up, it is a lot harder for people to be able to shoot it. I actually can't move my crosshair up far enough to be able to shoot that, no matter which side I'm on, right? Even when I'm on this side, I can barely do that. But it is a little bit harder the higher it is, but if you put it... Hold on. Sorry, I got a package to my door. My dog freaked out. However, you don't want to put the air jab too high or else the air jab radius of effect won't actually air jab people. But it's still something to take note of. I mean, the fact that you even have to think about stuff like that when putting the gadget down just makes it so much more worth to just run gridlock instead. It's so much easier. And again, you get a lot more value in my opinion. But that's kind of what this video is about, and that's kind of what I'm trying to portray to you. If you're using Nomad primarily because you want good flank watch, you shouldn't be using Nomad. I know most people think she's the best flank watch operator in the game, she's a great flank watch operator. I don't agree, and I think everything in this video that I've shown you points to that being a common misconception. I do think there are some times on some certain maps and staircases and doorways where the air jab is unshootable, and there's like little niche situations where Nomad can be great, especially with like these punch holes or using her to counter a clash. But I do not think she is a good flank watch operator, and I think if you're using her like that, you are using Nomad wrong. And even in those scenarios where, like, let's say they're flanking this doorway, right, and there's an unshootable air jab somewhere that I could put down, running Raora, the new operator, I think is actually better than that, because then you're gonna hear them shoot open your gate or explode your gate, and that's gonna make more noise than it is if they're going to just shoot your air jab, because you also have the audio of the door opening. So I don't think ever should you be using Nomad for flank watch, and even runouts you could just use claymores, which is why I personally think Nomad is highly overrated. There are some uses for her, like countering people in positions or clash, but I do not think she is a good flank watch operator. Let me know your thoughts. I stream every day on Twitch, check that out, and check out this next video.